consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the January 6th, 26th council meeting as published.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Deal. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the consent agenda is approved. Next item is the approval of the agenda itself.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the agenda is approved. Next item on our agenda is what we refer to as the public forum. I don't see any forums in that black box in front of Councilman Warren, so no one has signed up for that part of the agenda this evening, but I do like to explain it for anybody who's listening. This is a section on our agenda. It's on here regularly. It's for non-agenda items. There is a time limit of 2 minutes, and each speaker must sign up before the meeting. It is a time for the council to listen. No action will be taken. First item under that is an information item. Number 1, update on impact assistance program for Chugwater Energy Project. And we're going to ask Mrs. Lynette Strecker and Mr. Jim Eddington, our city attorney, and she's our clerk treasurer, to give us an update. And who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, just wanted to clarify what occurred at that ISD hearing several weeks ago that I was in attendance at. We submitted our, it's all pre-filed testimony and pre-filed exhibits. All 20-some parties did that. Our cost of service methodology was exactly the same that we used 3 years ago in the Goshen Solar Project, and we had the hearings right over here in the gymnasium. All of our numbers, our cost of service numbers, were accepted and approved. So contrary to the information that leaked out, that wasn't the difference. The difference was that we claimed in our calculation 253 temporary workers, and that information came directly from the applicant. Goshen County used 150 temporary workers in their calculations. All of their numbers were accepted. One of the board members or commission members saw that discrepancy, questioned how the city could claim 253 and the county could claim 150, and made a motion to change our numbers from 253 temporary workers to 150, and that commission agreed with that. It was difficult to argue that we would have 100 more people in the city versus 100 more people in the county. We disagreed with that. We said we're the county seat, we provide more services, et cetera, et cetera. But they made the motion, and that was the difference in the math. We received almost identical. There was $25,000 difference in the money awarded to Goshen County versus the city of Torrington. And so that, I think, explains cost of service numbers were approved and accepted. We did it. We took a budget. We took our the per person, divided it by the 253 and multiplied that out. And that's exactly what we did last time. So those weren't at issue. It was how many people would actually come here. The 253 may be high. The 150 is probably high. You got to remember that this project's going somewhere between Chugwater and Slater. Wheatland's 25 miles away on the interstate. Cheyenne's 45 miles away on the interstate. And Torrington's 55 miles away, not on the interstate. And so reality is we likely will have very little, if any, impact, assuming this project actually takes off. The Goshen Solar Project's 3 years old. Every 6 months, we get extension on them, on their construction project and when that'll start. So just wanted to clarify that, and if there are any questions, and if I've missed anything, Ms. Strecker can add to that. But that's how the numbers came down. Thank you.
Councilman Vickers.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Attorney, if the county used, I think you said 100-something, but in the applicant, or in the application from the applicant, the number is higher than that, why did they go with a lower number?
You know, that's a great question. I don't have a very good answer for you. I wished I'd have caught that sooner and asked them why they would use the less number. I guess there was some presumption that
Less.
some of the workers would come this way, some go to Wheatland, some go to Cheyenne. Just a judgment call. We used their numbers because the 253 that they provided is also an estimate. What if there's 350 workers?
Well, it could be easily assumed that Torrington, providing the county's amenities in terms of hotel rooms, is
Exactly.
located only in Torrington.
Exactly. And that was part of the argument that we made. I think the commission found it inconsistent to let us use the 253 in Goshen County, the 150, for whatever reason.
Do you see that there is there is a flaw in this where the affected agencies have to put forward these numbers, but the DEQ or the ISC really has no standard of which how to calculate? I mean, it's everybody has a different methodology, it seems like.
They do. There's no real methodology that they approved. Now, 3 years ago, you know, it was virgin territory for us when we applied, and they had an economist at DEQ that helped us, and actually sent us some samples, and that's kind of what we used to prepare our cost of service methodology back then. So it is a little confusing. The administrative hearing process in Wyoming is pretty relaxed, for lack of a better word. I mean, this thing was set for a day and a half, and it ended up going 4 days. And so they have a phase one where they determine whether the project meets the applicant meets the statutory criteria and it's approved. And then they have phase two, which is the impact assistance. And it took forever because they had 4 local landowners objecting, and they were all, well, 3 of the 4 were pro se, and they did a pretty good job of presenting their cases. But it took over 9 hours of testimony instead of a half day, and so that set everything way back. And it was, you know, I don't understand their thinking. I don't know why they don't do phase one and then schedule phase two. But we dealt with it. We were all there. Prior to that, you know, we entered into an MOU with 20-some, mostly Goshen or Platte County and Goshen County, to get our numbers under the 12.3, which was the maximum allowed impact fees, and we did that. So we never anticipated that there'd be any question whatsoever to the impact fees, but the question came up in the number of workers, and that's why they changed it.
Now, the dollar figure is not, it's based on the total cost of the project, right? The sales tax received from the materials.
Right.
But that's not actually divvied out, per se, to the entities that are applying. You have to actually show a proof that you have been impacted, right?
You do, and you have, well, and they don't administer these funds until after construction, so it may never appear, or it may be a good 5 years down the road. And then I think they can audit you. You have to show proof of how you use those funds, is my understanding.
And do they limit those dollars to be spent on certain things only, or is there carte blanche on what it can be spent on?
I think their intent is to limit those, but out of all of the requests, none were were modified or changed, other than ours based on population, or based on temporary workers' population. So there's requests that are a little outside of what you would think. I mean, there were claims for cemetery maintenance and all kinds of things.
Swimming pool, diving
Swimming
boards.
pools, road graders. I mean, so, yeah, it's pretty broad, pretty broad. They did question, the same board member questioned the private school in Yoder, or, excuse me, in Chugwater, and the other four commissioners didn't want anything to do with that. And they said they could be more affected than any other agency whatsoever because it was so close to the project. So that one was, the attempt to change that was voted down.
And thank you, Councilman Victor. And I just want everybody out there listening to this, this is confusing, and it can be confusing. As Mr. Eddington said, Torrington's first experience with this was in, I think it was October of '23, related to the Goshen Solar Project, southwest of Yoder. Now, there were only two entities when the ISC was here at the Pony Express Room that even applied, the city of Torrington and the town of Yoder. Nobody else even applied.
Correct.
And we got instruction from their economist. I remember working with Jim and Lynette on that, and what's a good formula to use and all these sorts of things. And the same package was put together, some exhibits. Mrs. Strecker was sworn in and actually had to testify. Mr. Eddington was the attorney and asking the questions. And that's what we did the first time. So we had done this before, and usually having done something before is helpful because you're not, as Mr. Eddington said, in virgin territory. You've done it before. And I just want to point out to people, these aren't grants. This is not sure money. It's very speculative because in order to ever see any of it realized, the project has to start. And then once the project starts, my understanding is the way the budget is funded for the impact assistance is through sales tax. A portion of the sales tax is taken off of that the project developer spends buying stuff in Wyoming that's subject to sales tax, and then that's put into this little kitty over here, and it's months, if not years, after that entities can start applying for impact assistance. So it's very speculative. Almost every entity that was eligible in the county did it this time. There was a lot of activity on this. We had several meetings with the county commissioners, and we met with them and with their grant writer and the emergency management coordinator, who was very involved in it. And as Mr. Eddington said, we pondered this MOU, and the idea was to put an MOU together with all the entities within Goshen County and Goshen County, so that none of us went over this projected 12-point-something budget that was set aside. Now, what that's based on, I don't know that either, okay? But that was 12 million, and the point was, don't go over that or everybody's in a bad spot. So that's what we were taught at those commissioner meetings, and that's how we went about doing this. But this is not sure money. There was an article in the Telegram that just listed the awards to the different counties, and it's obvious when you look at that list. Platte County got 1.1 million, Town of Wheatland 482,000, Chugwater itself 1.5 million. So it seems like it sort of works out in a circle, and the farther away you get from where the project actually is, the less money you're going to get, because I think the theory is that there's less impact the farther away you are from the center. Now, as we all know, Chugwater is probably as remote as you can get in Wyoming and still be on an interstate. That is out in the sticks, okay? It's, I think, 25 miles from Cheyenne, or 25 miles from Wheatland and 45 from Cheyenne. So I just want everybody to know that this isn't like grants, that you apply for a grant and that's a sure thing. It's anything but sure. And as Mr. Eddington pointed out, the Goshen Solar Project was first slated to start in January of '24. It was extended to January of 24, then to '25, and last I knew, it was amended the permit to January of '26, and I still don't think it started. So,
I think it was amended to July 1 of '26 now.
okay. So every 6 months, they just push it back.
So for like the town of Yoder that got an extra little bit for a road grader, their basis for that was that they would have to use it to build a fire line or construct a fire line. So in that theory, there would actually have to be an event in which they would have to call in a road grader to then show that they would need the money, right?
I think so. I'm not sure how they decide to distribute it. I think they get this sales tax prorated out to everybody, and then they can audit you within the year and see how you've spent that money. So if you
And that-
don't have enough to buy a road grader, I guess you got to earmark it in some account for a road grader. That's a good question, and I just don't know how it's distributed and monitored.
And my understanding is the entity has to spend the money and then get reimbursed. It's not like you get the money before you buy the stuff.
Yeah.
It's,
That's still to be determined, still down the road. Hopefully, we have to find out. It's going to be a while.
that was a good explanation, Mr. Eddington. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I know you worked hard on that, and I know Lynette worked hard on it. And it was very inconvenient because it was a 4-day hearing that ended up being 4 days. It was originally set for a day or a day and a half.
Originally, a day and a half.
And the second time it was put back together, it was set on December 29th, if you'll recall, which was after a 4-day weekend. And, you know, I think Mr. Eddington and others might have filed motions to allow the witnesses to appear by phone or Zoom rather than, you know, pull out of a vacation or whatever they had to do. So it was a trying experience. We've done it twice now. I suppose if we do it again, we'll have even more experience the next time. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Eddington.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Eddington or Mrs. Drucker? All right, thank you, folks. All right, we are now on to the action items. Item number 1 under the action items is a proclamation proclaiming the city of Torrington a participant in the year 2026 in the semi-quincentennial 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and I will read the proposed proclamation. City of Torrington, proclamation celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Whereas representatives of the original 13 colonies of the United States of America met in Congress in Philadelphia in 1776, declaring grievances against the King of England and declaring independence from England. And whereas those representatives signed the Declaration of Independence, pledging their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, and whereas that action resulted in the creation of a free and independent United States of America and the eventual establishment of a Constitution in 1787, binding those states to form a more perfect union. Therefore, I, Herb Doby, Mayor of the City of Torrington, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the City of Torrington a participant for the year of 2026 in the semi-quincentennial 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, whose people are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I urge all citizens to study the Declaration of Independence and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which the privilege involves. I further urge all citizens to celebrate with gusto our 250th anniversary of freedom and independence. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and signature as Mayor of the City of Torrington, Wyoming, this 20th day of January, 2026. Herb Doby, Mayor. Attest, Lynette Strecker, Clerk Treasurer. And with that reading, I would just tell council that this first came to my mind through Councilman Deal. He mentioned it to me, and he put together a draft of this, and I played with it a little bit. Hopefully it was helped, but Councilman Deal put the original draft together, and we worked on it a little bit, and and I'm satisfied with it, and I would answer any questions that council may have about this proclamation. All right, well, with that, I would entertain a motion to allow me to sign the proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, I would make the motion to allow the signature of the mayor of Torrington, Herb Doby, on the proclamation.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Deal to allow me to sign the proclamation in item number 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victron. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of allowing me to sign the proclamation set forth in item number 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, I will indeed sign that proclamation. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we are on item number 2 in the action items, ordinance on third reading, establishing C1A zoning for lots 1 and 2 of the Family Dentistry PC subdivision addition. And Mr. Eddington, would you please read that ordinance by title?
It's an ordinance amending and reenacting Section 18.16.020 of the Torrington Municipal Code, 2026 revisions relating to the city of Torrington, Wyoming, amending the zoning district map by establishing C1A zoning for a tract of land to be known as the Family Dentistry PC subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. Mr. Estes, any news?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There is no news. I've had no public comment, and so again, staff would recommend final approval.
All right. Gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Estes? All right. With that, we are on item number 2, ordinance on third reading. I would entertain a motion to pass this ordinance on third reading.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the ordinance on third reading.
All right. I have item number 2, a motion from Councilman Victron to approve the ordinance on third reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Item number 2, all those in favor of approving on third reading the ordinance set forth in item 2, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, item number 2, that ordinance is approved on third reading. We are now on item number 3, ordinance on third reading, establishing R3 zoning for Block 1, Lots D and E, and Block 2, Lots A, B, and C of the Hatton subdivision addition. And again, Mr. Eddington, would you read that ordinance by title, please?
It's an ordinance amending and reenacting Section 18.16.020 of the Torrington Municipal Code, 2026 revisions relating to the city of Torrington, Wyoming, amending the zoning district map by establishing R3 zoning for a tract of land to be known as the Hatton subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. Mr. Estes, any news on that ordinance?
Mayor and Council, there is no news on that one as well as the last one, so we would recommend approval.
All right, we are on item, any questions for Mr. Estes? All right, we are on item number 3, ordinance on third reading. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make the motion to approve the ordinance on third reading.
All right, item number 3, I have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the ordinance on third reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Warren. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Item number 3, all those in favor of approving that ordinance on third reading, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that ordinance is approved on third reading. Thank you, Mr. Estes. We are now on item number 4, approval of the bills from January 7th, 26 to January 20, 26. And with that, I would call on Clerk Treasurer Lynette Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So attached to your agenda was a list of bills, and I also handed out another set of bills tonight. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Might ask a question. The payment for the self-insurance, is that a biannual, or is that just the payment for the annual payment?
Self-insurance for
The city?
the health insurance?
Yes. The
It's
103,000.
monthly.
Monthly. Okay.
Seems like there are fewer bills this time because we didn't have 3 weeks between a meeting, right?
Mr. Mayor, if there are no more questions on the bills, I'd make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the bills as presented in item number 4. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Second from Councilman Victor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Item number 4, all those in favor of approval of the bills as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Item number 4, those bills are approved.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is public comment, and I see the fire chief, Luis Correa, out there, and given these weather conditions, I think we'd appreciate a fire report, chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We've had a lot of wind events, but thankfully, we haven't had too many calls. We had a carbon monoxide detector going off that we did some investigation on, and I believe that one would determine that the lady's pilot light had went out on her furnace. And then the same night we were called out to, and actually we were 1022'd. Somebody was using their smoker a little bit close to their house, and the neighbor thought maybe the house was on fire. And then we did get called out for a tree that had fallen down on a power line going to a residence on East D, and helped out with that. But as far as calls go, that's really all we had since the last council meeting.
Was that call about the tree on East D, was that on Thursday evening, I guess?
Yes, it was. Yep. But yeah, like I said, it's as far as calls go, it's been a little bit slow. That's given us some time to make sure we have our trucks rehabbed. Doesn't look like we're gonna get a rest on grass season. I think it's just gonna continue on with the nice weather and the strong winds we've had. But, I guess with that being said, one other thing I'd like to mention is that we have just started selling our raffle tickets, our annual fundraiser. It's a gun a month. Each ticket is $50, and you're entered into all 12 drawings, so you could potentially win up to 12 times. We have a pretty good, strong gun selection. This year we did a little bit different, and we actually put a thermal scope on the list. We've never done that before, so there will be a suppressor. This year we increased the price on that suppressor because there is no $200 federal tax stamp anymore. The cost of that has gone away. You still submit the paperwork like normal, but you just don't have to pay that $200 stamp tax.
And To purchase a ticket, anybody can just approach a fireman.
Yep, that's correct. And any fireman should be able to get you a ticket. If not, I'm around and willing to sell you one.
All right, appreciate that.
Yep.
Gentlemen, any questions for the chief?
Just to
Comments?
to put a comment out there, you remain in the drawing the whole year, even if you're not drawn in the first month or.
Yeah, that's correct. I actually sold one. It was my wife's aunt bought a ticket for her husband for Valentine's Day, and he actually won 2 guns that year on that one ticket. So.
So even if you win, it stays in?
Yep. You're entered into all 12 drawings. Yep.
The new one starts in what, March?
April will be the first month.
April?
Mm-hmm. And I believe that one will be a Weatherby shotgun. We got for those of you that like to support our local or Wyoming-based companies, I think we have 2 Weatherbys on there. A shotgun, a Weatherby Orion, and then the Weatherby Model 307 rifle.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, chief. All right, we are in public comment time. Is Chief Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to take a minute tonight to recognize the fantastic work of our shop foreman, Brian Evans. Brian is very much behind the scenes and he flies under the radar. But what he does is absolutely incredible. He has so much knowledge and so much experience and so much creativity in keeping cars on the road. As you know, we try to push our cars as far as we possibly can, and we try to be as frugal with that as we can be. But that means sometimes we deal with a lot of repairs. And the last couple months, it's felt like we were playing broken cop car bingo. Every time we turn around, there was something else that was hitting us in the teeth and making it difficult to keep cops in cars. And I just never cease to be amazed at how Brian can figure out a solution, come up with an answer, and he does it for such a cost-effective way. I mean, I'd love it if we didn't have to spend so much money fixing cars, but in terms of finding the cheapest way to do it, he's pretty amazing. And I just feel like he doesn't get enough credit for that. So if you see him, please take a moment to thank him for that. And we just want to make sure that we give him a little bit of appreciation for the amazing work he does. So,
Appreciate that, Chief. Thank you. All right, any other takers? I think, Mr. Harkins, they want a couple of updates from you. I think Mr. Kelly wants one.
Yeah, Headworks and Pump 16?
Well, 16.
Well 16?
Regarding well 16, the project's pretty much done, except now that we got a Department of Homeland Security grant for the generator for that project. What we're planning on doing, we've already cleared it through the Wyoming Water Development Office. We're going to do a change order to the contract to add that generator back onto the contract. And we're just waiting for Ken Ferrier to give us a price and a change order to get that part of the project going. As far as the headworks goes,
So is well 16, is it functional now with the?
it's been functional. The only issue that we have is that the well itself is producing a really fine, silty type sand as they pump it, and it's clogging some of the filters. They're still trying to figure out a solution for that part of it, but other than that, all the components are working.
Because I think the last report said the RO wasn't working, wasn't it?
The RO had some issues initially, but it's functioning now. It's just those filters that are on the RO system will tend to clog up rather quickly with the type of silty sand that's coming up through the well. Regarding the wastewater treatment plant, if you drive by now, you'll see that the cinder block walls on top of the what was the headworks ceiling has been completed. We'll start working on getting the ceiling on that on that part of the headworks, probably starting next week. The pre-engineered metal building, the foundation has been poured and stem walls completed for that. They plan on putting the actual metal building up, I think starting within the next couple of weeks. So they're moving along. They're thinking that they're going to be done sometime this summer, I think, which is a vast improvement of February of 2027. So we'll see if it happens, but they are making progress.
Go ahead.
I just say that's good, they're making progress.
Of late, they've really cranked it up progress-wise.
Yeah, the project manager that they've got on the project now is really keeping their feet to the fire, so to speak.
Okay.
Have you had any feedback, negative or positive, on the East D project?
The mayor has told me numerous times that he's had nothing but positive comments on the East D project. I myself have not received any negative or positive, except for what the mayor's told me.
And just to add to that, I have had several positive comments. A lot of people, that is a nice project, and if they have a minute, I take time to explain to them it's not just the street. It's curb, gutter, sidewalk, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water line, the whole works, and it's sure nice to drive on. So, yeah, we're getting compliments, or I am. I hope you guys are getting some too on the East D project. And I still think that that's the busiest street in town, is East D. So,
Yeah, I've driven on it, it's really nice.
it is nice. And I'm sure it benefits those property owners that are along that street too, so. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Harkins, updates?
Did the city suffer much tree damage? Maybe that's a question for Dennis.
There were a number of downed trees that have been taken down to the baler, the burn pile that he's got going. So that seems to be growing.
And I think Matt Hickman said this morning that they lost a couple of trees at the cemetery again, I think on the north end. And around town, if you just drive around, you see them, and those big old spruce trees that are on lawns and get a lot of water, so the tree feels no pressure to put deep roots in, and they just blow over when you get that wind, so. But I asked Mr. Hawley this morning, it calls it his slash pile, that's the technical term. He says it's growing and growing, and he does have a DEQ permit to burn, but there has to be, he would like snow on the ground, and I think one of the criteria for burning is 15 miles an hour or less winds
Correct.
to burn.
It might be a long time.
Maybe a stockpile of snow.
So, any other questions for either Mr. Estes or Mr. Harkin? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your attendance, and you were all very helpful. We have completed the agenda this evening, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.